Good morning, welcome back. Today we're back on the Stitches Challenger, moving forward on a little bit more of what needs to be done on this car to get it on the rotisserie. Let's just watch the show intro. I'll see you in about 30 seconds. I'm Mike and this is My Car Shop.
Working out of a 100-year-old refurbished barn, bringing 35 years of experience to projects considered beyond repair. Vision, creativity, and problem solving are essential tools in this place. Watch as we transform junk into polished metal miracles. This is My Car's Shop.
We are in the middle of a major shop overhaul right now. We've got the Oakland out of its hole. Got room made for the Forsyth Duster to come in, and I hope to get that done yet this week. Over by the door, it's quite full of things that need to be taken care of. And if you notice, Stitches is pretty buried with stuff right now, so we have a job of work to do to get that all cleaned up so that we can even get at the car to work. But I know you guys have been really patient and persistent in wanting more content on the Challenger, and I respect that. I'm trying to keep all of these balls juggling in the air and not drop anything, and I think we're making progress. But as I've mentioned, I had 3 weeks on the Solstice project. That's gone. The Oakland, I've got an ongoing episode on that, which I think I'm just going to break into a couple of episodes because it's turning into quite an ordeal. So that will be coming, and you're not going to want to miss that. And well, I want to do a little bit of work also just on the shop and share that with you. And we have to make another road trip that I wasn't expecting, so we're going to be gone for a while as well. By the time you see this, we'll be back. But that's just kind of the way life goes sometimes. So trying to keep everything. It's fun. It's interesting. It's life isn't boring that way. I think my coffee's cold. I'm not sure this is going to be a very good day. It's that time of year when the furnace has to be on, so I apologize for the noise, but it's freaking cold out here, and we've already had snow in some parts of Michigan. Some people in other parts of the country might call this a polar vortex. We just call it life. But anyway, part of moving forward on a project like this is just simply the prep for the next stage. And that's part of what I need to do today. That quarter panel has been, you can't see it, but that quarter panel for here has been kicking around the shop for quite a while. And that concerns me. I want to get it somewhere where it's not going to be damaged, so we're going to quickly buzz it onto the car, not permanently, but put it on with some CLECOs or something so it's out of the way. I need to get this off. Need to address this piece of metal here anyway and see if it's something that I'm going to be able to salvage. I don't know if it's pot metal or if it's just stamped stainless. If it's stainless, we can probably hammer it out and make it look nice, but it needs to come off. So I want to work on probably the back piece here, tying this rear tail light panel into where the floor is going to go. So because it's quite shot and it's quite a concern for strength to hold this to the car itself so that we don't end up with a lot of flex in there. Now remember, we've talked before that on a unibody car, the frame is not where the strength is, so it's only part of it, and it's all of the structure together. So we need to get this thing to the point that when we're ready to put the rear end back under it, move it out of here a little bit and get it so we can pull the motor and stuff out before we put it on the rotisserie. It needs to have some strength to it. So that's what we're doing right now, is just getting this piece off, and so we can hang that quarter panel in place. Maybe, hopefully, kind of, sort of. I thought maybe it broke off. It was so easy, but I don't know. It's weird on this car how some things are so loose and other things are so rusted. It's kind of a pot licker. I'm gonna have to get an air ratchet. For those who have never seen a CLECO and how it works, there may be a few of you. I've used these before, but I actually just purchased these, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 months ago, and I've not used them till now. But let me show you what they do. They're very handy and they're not very expensive. There's a special little tool, that squeezer, and then this is what a CLECO looks like. And you put it into the tool like this, and then you squeeze it. This one's stuck, of course. This one's, there it goes. Okay, this one needs a little work, so of course I gotta find a different one. Okay, so you put it in the tool, and you squeeze it, and you put it through the hole, and if you can see that, when it pulls back, it mushrooms, and it holds the panel in place. So you drill a hole through both panels, squeeze it, push it in, and then that releases and holds that panel in place. It's very handy. So right now this quarter panel is off just a little teeny bit, and I don't care about that per se, but I didn't take the stainless trim off in here, so I need to just pull this out like this and get in there with a drill and blow this little bit of wheel opening molding that's left so that this thing can settle into place. I'd like to get it close. I'm not intending to align it for installation. Again, this is just for storage. The best place for it to be right now is on the car. And I'll tell you a little story about that here in just a minute. Lessons learned the hard way. Case in point, and I got a couple of stories here. This has been kicking around in the box. It's been sitting up on top of the car, or it was over on the other side of the Oakland. There's a dent in it right here. I'm guessing that was from shipping because, quite frankly, this panel was not shipped. It was not packed very well when it was shipped. And there are other little imperfections in the panel as well. It's a really inexpensive Sherman panel. I don't care. I will probably cut it off about here when I join it and do a cut and butt technique, or just do an overlap right in here. Again, this is not a concourse restoration car, so I don't care. But the best place to store this, as far as I'm concerned, is right on the car. I'll put a couple more CLECOs in just to hold it in place. Once we put it on the rotisserie, this won't be a good place to store it, but point being is when they're kicking around, I had this happen on the quarter panels for the 74 Swinger, and we were moving actually, and I had bought those quarter panels because I had the cash and we were just stockpiling parts, and I had them leaning up against the back of the car trailer. Needed to move the car trailer to load some more stuff and forgot they were there, and ended up twisting one of them up pretty bad. I was able to salvage it. It's the one we hung on the car, but the point is, when you have sheet metal, it's best to get it on the car as soon as possible. In this case, I knew that I had the cash here on this car, and I knew that parts were starting to get hard to get, so I ordered the one for the driver's side, and it's still not here, and that's been over 6 months now. If I have to fix the one on the driver's side, I will, but I'm quite sure that once the stack of boats off the East Coast gets taken care of, that we will eventually end up with a quarter panel. But this is all right. It's not perfect. It's a cheap replacement part for this kind of a car. I'm fine with that. I expect to have to massage them. I've used more expensive panels and still ended up having to massage them, so it was $150 for this quarter panel. I'm more than willing to put in the time and the metal work to make it right. It will look very good for what this car is. Again, clarification, if this was a numbers matching Hemi car that was worth $250,000 on up, I would be putting full quarters on up into the roof, and we'd be doing this entire project different. This is just a driver. This is a great driver quality piece, and it's going to turn out amazing when it's done. But I want to stick a couple more CLECOs in here, make sure that our alignment is close, and then we'll call this good for now and move on to other things. Okay, so what happened is this is a little low, so that's no big deal. We can just raise the panel up where it belongs, get this body line lined up, and then pop a CLECO in here, one in there. Again, we're not trying to get it perfect, but I want to get it close. We can see that we're way out, which doesn't matter, but the body line is about 1 inch low here, and that's lining up with what this is here as well. Okay, now our line lines up a lot better here. It's not perfect, but again, we're not trying to be perfect. We're just trying to get it close. So you can see how much closer this is now. When we're putting the final fitment, of course, it will line up perfectly with this door because this door lines up perfectly here. This will get trimmed off down here, and we'll use as much of the original door edge as possible. But for now, like I said, this is good. There's a huge dent in this quarter panel here, so we're going to have some massaging and figuring it out, but good enough. One more CLECO down there, and we may run one down here just to keep this from flopping, but quite frankly, it's fitting pretty good. For a lot of years, I just use sheet metal screws for this, and I discovered that CLECOs are just so much faster because you can move stuff around and just boop, 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 in and out and good to go. I think that's going to do it for now. We're not flipping this car on its side, so let's back up and take a look. Our line is close, it's off. Actually, on this panel, it looks like this line kind of goes down instead of leveling out, so probably a little hammer and dolly, and the panel's probably actually in really good shape. It's out on the bottom a little bit. It's definitely out back here. It needs to be sucked in like that, but we're good. It's holding in place. It's a safe place for it. I like it. Plus, just looking at the car, it looks like it's just made a huge step forward, even though we've really not done anything than just put something here for safety to keep it out of the way. And looking at this back here, just as I was starting to clean everything up and get ready to work on the back where I'm actually intending to work today, I noticed that the tail or the side marker light holes are about 1/4 inch off compared to the old quarter. And that's the beautiful thing about overlaying a quarter panel over the old one before you cut everything off, is you can really get an idea. I'm not going to mess with that right now, but what I am doing is putting a piece of duct tape here and making a note to myself in the future. Just put like 1/4 high and an arrow to remind myself that this needs to go down about 1/4 inch when I get to the point that I'm actually going to be putting this on. So I won't trust my CLECOs. That one up there is probably okay. These two will have to move. So anyway, just a note. It's kind of a pre-fit, not just for storage, but I get a chance to look it over as well and just keep an eye on things here. And probably someday when I'm bored, whenever that would be, I will make that adjustment and get that a little closer into place. I could buzz this off here. That would help the alignment. But again, we're not really fitting quarter panel today, but pre-fit, storage, you know, that's part of this. So anyway, got things cleaned out in here now. And I'll bring you over and show you what we need to accomplish. This is what we're dealing with, is right down in here where it transitioned from the body into the, I don't know what to call it, the piece that goes across anyway, tying the frame together and everything. And we got to do it on both sides. So I think the first thing we're going to do is tear all of the acumpucky out of here and just see what we're dealing with on this side. And then we'll come up with a game plan on how we want to make these pieces, just so you get a little better view of what we're dealing with. We're talking about that down there between this plate here and this plate up here where the taillight panel is, all along both sides. And again, all of this acumpucky here needs to come out of there. So we're going to first of all tear that out and then see what we're dealing with and come up with a game plan. I pretty much know what I want to do, but I want to make sure that what I want to do is actually what I should do. So an executive decision that has to be made. So you can see here, the trunk floor actually comes under and then attaches this way to the piece. And I'm not interested in doing that. I could. I don't care if this is factory original. So I'm going to do it differently. All of this is going to get cut out regardless, but the ultimate goal is to attach this solid piece here to the tail panel. And we're going to do that on the inside rather than coming around and underneath and making two pieces and bullcrap. Let's just do it the easy way because I'm super lazy. And at the end of the day, when the bumper is in and the trunk floor is covered with the mat and the carpet or whatever we're going to put in there, and the tail lights are on, and the car is traveling down the road at 60 miles an hour, I don't think you're going to see any of this. And if you do, then I will allow you to complain about it. So have at it, by all means. I will be happy to hear you complain about that. So we'll just start making a piece to go across that will eventually attach right up into here. It'll probably come from here up and over. Now understand that this is all part of the trunk floor. So originally the trunk floor slipped under there, but I'm just going to make a joint right here and call it good. Again, I don't care what it looks like. I am all about function over form when it comes to building a driver like this, when we're salvaging something this bad and I don't want to open up deep pockets to buy all original metal. So don't get caught up in the whole idea that everything has to be factory original. It's function over form on a driver. It's up to you how fussy you want to be, but I'm presenting you with alternative ways to simplify things and get things done. I do notice that I got to pull this one little piece off the back. There's a whole bunch of screws that have to come out. So we'll get that done. The other thing I wanted to mention is you'll notice I'm not using any penetrating oil on all this stuff. I could. But I try to stay away from using oils on anything that I'm ultimately going to be painting. So if these screws don't come out, we'll probably come in here and go and buzz them off on the inside, but I think they'll come out on the other side. So let's go try to get those off of there first. So the screws we're referring to are the ones that hold this piece on across the back here. So we need to get that off of there and get it out of the way so that we can start to really do the work that we're wanting to do. That piece is good. We'll be able to use it again. A little cleanup, it'll be just fine. Don't even think we'll need to do any repair. Dimensionally, I think 24 inches will be a good place to start. We may need to buzz this out of here to fix that behind there, but for now we're gonna leave it. So 24 is gonna get us close. So I got myself a little piece of wire here. You've seen me do this before. And I'm just trying to get it ballparked. We're not trying to make it terribly accurate. So I just make a piece that's the contour of what I'm wanting to fix or fit, and I'll just go a bit long to be safe. So we're going to bring it out to right here. Okay, so we know that when I straighten this out and measure it from here, that's our profile. And when I straighten this out and measure it, that'll be the length that we need. I think I'm going to spray a little paint on this and then scribe it in the paint. Should be close. Get it quite in where I wanted it yet. That should do it. Yeah, I think we're ready to cut this out of here. This piece is plenty big, which is what I hoped for. So the next step then is to, I don't want to paint the backside of that, but the next step is to go in here and make a nice cut along this top here. Get that cut out of there. Get all of this metal out so that we can start fitting that down in there where it belongs and determine where we need to trim it to fit. But it's going to be a nice step forward here today for sure. We have all our rusty, crusty crap out of the way now. And, okay, that's interesting. I did not realize that this, I can see it now, this tapers down smaller that direction, which is fine, no big deal. It also looks like it tapers down this way as we go. Or, nope, it doesn't, I don't think. It's just there's a bunch of crap in the way I need to cut out of there. So now I just need to dimension this. First thing I think that needs to happen is my bend. Yeah, it's not quite 90 degrees, so I need to take this over to the wooden anvil and hammer and dolly a few places and put it back in the vise or in the sheet metal brake and get ourselves a little more of a bend on it, and then we'll be able to fit it in there better. But it's fitting nicely across now. And so now the next thing we need to do is come back and trim a nice straight edge on here, so that we're lined up with the edge where we need to be in there. I was going to take my new grinder and go through and clean this up a little bit. So I mentioned the new grinder. I just thought I would take a minute and talk about that. I picked this up from Harbor Freight. It's just a $20 little pneumatic grinder. And my reason for it is I have a lot of grinders. But the thing that was key about this one was so often on my bigger grinder, I end up wearing out about like the outside ½ an inch of these discs. And there's so much more disc here that's still usable. And I wanted to get a grinder that I could use to cut these down. So there's 3 different size backing plates that you can use on these. There's a big one, and then a little smaller one, and then a very smaller one. What that does is it gives me the opportunity to use a lot more of these discs. These things are expensive, but you can see how much of this disc actually hasn't been used. So with this different backing plates for this one, I have the opportunity to use those discs 3 more times. Now I also bought some discs from Harbor Freight to use, and they actually work pretty good. That's what I've been using today. I probably have 30 of these discs around that the outside inch or so is just worn out and it's useless, but there's all of this good friction material in here that you can use. So just wanted to do a little commercial on that and say, like it. It's a good little tool, cheap, and you know, when it wears out, throw it away, buy another one because they're dirt cheap. You can, for 20 bucks, why not? I've got my line marked out here where this goes, and there is a little bit of a taper to this, which is fine. I got a couple ways I can cut this. This is 20 gauge sheet metal, 20, yeah, 20. So I may just, but I could also take my cutoff wheel and buzz it off. So I don't know. Got all this cleaned up, but I forgot to clean this edge up here, so I'm going to take that rotary grinder, clean that up, I just primed the back side of that part. I forgot to do that, so it's over there in the furnace drying right now. So we'll just run across here real quick both sides, and then we'll hopefully be ready to tack weld that piece in. So you can see we got it kind of there in place, and you'll notice I split the difference on that edge, and that's on purpose because I'm going to drill some spot weld holes in there to attach it to the piece underneath. And then the floor pan is also going to butt up against that and have spot weld holes. And then I'm also going to solid weld that across there and grind it down so it will look like one piece of metal, but we're close. And of course it will be blasted with seam sealer anyway, so it won't matter. But again, we're not trying for originality here, we're doing function. That's what matters. So it needs a little tweak here and there, but for the most part it's close, and I think we can just get it tacked in place once I drill the holes in. Okay, so I got all my holes snap punched in my piece. I need to drill those, but while I am doing that, I wanted this to dry a little bit. I hit it with the rust reform material so that it can dry a little bit. It won't be completely dry. We're not going to weld this in completely today. We're just going to tack it, let all of this dry up, and then go head back and hit it. But it's a big step forward for sure. So I went over all of that with the grinding wheel and got it all the loose rust and stuff taken off of it, and it looks good. So all right, drill some holes. Okay, so I went through and center punched everything deeper and then ran an 1/8 hole. I didn't bother showing you all that. And now I'm going with a nice big hole here, and I'm wearing gloves because the chances are this is going to catch. There we go. So now we got some nice spot weld holes. So I just got to clean the burrs off, and we'll be ready to fit it in the car. Very good. Things are drying nicely now, so we can get this final fitted and then tack it in place. Got to trim the corner up just a teeny bit here. It's catching just a little teeny bit. Use a little more. Let's just take ourselves a nice little swath around there. There we go. That's better. Still catching. Dad? Oh, there we go. Okay, there we go. We're good. We're good. Maybe we do have to taper this. No, we don't. Okay, we're good. Okay, why did that slip in? I don't know. One more clamp. Okay, that looks good. Couple little spots to tweak. Okay, it's fitting nicely now along that edge. It's fitting nicely down there. I wouldn't mind it coming this way just a little bit. I think we can just knock that gently. Yep, there we go. Good. And the nice thing is the pants keep falling on the floor. All right, I think we're golden. We'll take and clean up our little spot weld holes and then the other thing that I need to do is then test fit that piece on the back again. And I also need to test fit the taillight to make sure nothing has shifted. So this is the tedious part of fabrication, is fit, make sure it fits. And there we have it. Nice and welded. It's just tacked in about 5 places. That's as far as I'm going with it for right now. I need to test that panel on the back. I'll probably give it a couple more tack welds. I obviously have a little bit of work to do in here. A few other things, but for the most part, that piece is in there. And we need to get that side over there cleaned up and determine what all we need to do over there. If we need to do the same thing or something different, I don't know. It'll be what it is. The other thing is there's the piece up in here that we need to do also, but I'm going to wait on that until I determine what I'm doing to get trunk extension and so forth in here. Then of course our next step I'm going to do right now is just test fit that piece up here real quick and make sure that it fits good. Here I got somebody pulled in the driveway, so I got to go deal with that, and I'll be right back. Okay, so we took this piece and we're just holding it up there, lining up the screw holes. Looks good. I don't see any issues with it. So, and I'm glad to know that really it's this edge here that matters. So my main concern is that we don't end up doing something there like that. I'm also going to go get a tailpipe. I'm going to get a tailpipe. Tail light, and just throw on this side real quick with this in place, just to make sure nothing has moved so far. Very good. Yep, everything looks great. I don't see any problems at all. The next thing I need to order, if any of y'all know where I can find one cheap, I'm looking for a driver quality rear bumper. It doesn't have to be perfect. I just want something nice. I know I can order a new one for a few $100, but remember, we're trying to put this car together on a budget. So yeah, that's going to be good. And then this piece goes under here like so. Everything is looking good. It's a little bent, but that's to be expected. So I really like the looks of this with the taillights and stuff back on it. Can't wait till it's actually on there for good. Well, that's some good progress here on stitches, that's for sure. I've been wanting to get after this one for a while. I know I still need to do that subframe, but that's going to take a little more concentrated time than I have right now, but I will get that done. But this is a very important element here to get this back part of this car stiffened back up again. It's still flexing a little bit and so forth, but I'm concerned about putting it on the rotisserie and hanging all that body weight on here without having more work done in there. It needs to be tied more into the wheel well and so forth. But it's getting there. I'm pleased. I need to decide whether I'm going to hang this quarter panel on the car before I put it on the rotisserie. I probably am, but I don't know. You tell me, should I or shouldn't I? Remember that the quarter panel is part of the structural integrity of the car. That's partly what gives it its strength, with the inner wheel well and the outer wheel well all coming together. So I don't know. We'll see. We will continue working on this little tedious project back here, get that wrapped up. Again, if you know if somebody has a driver quality bumper for a 70 through 72, 70 to 71 for sure. I think 70 and 71 only. I think 72, 3, and 4 are different. But anyway, driver quality bumper for a 70 Challenger would be great. Or new, of course. Somebody has a deal on a new one that they're not using. Otherwise, I'll just go out and buy the cheapest one I can find new. They're only a few $100, so it's no big deal. But nice chrome would be good on this car. So I don't want anything that's bent up or has like huge rust holes in it or anything. I already have one of those. If you haven't subbed to the channel, please do that. Hit the bell so you receive those notifications. Drop comments down here on the video. That really helps us. The more discussion we have on each video, the more helpful it is for getting pushed up in the algorithm. We were stalled out for a couple of weeks. I think YouTube was having some issues. I see we're starting to click off some more subscribers again, so we're heading towards that 700 mark now. That's awesome. I appreciate every single one of you that are here. We're on Instagram, we're on Facebook /mycarshop. Hit like on the video also. That also helps us. Be sure to join the community tab over here, where we try to post something every day for some discussion as well. And I feel like I'm forgetting something else. Rock!